Hi everyone, this video is a reproduction, I guess you would say, from a live stream that I did a couple of years ago. And when I was flipping through my journal at some point, the people that were there watching the live show and chatting with me saw these tulip paintings, and they really wanted me to show them how to paint them, and I made the statement that they were super easy to do. So at the somewhere towards the end of that stream, I decided to go ahead and do a quick lesson and teach them how to paint these. Again, I mean, I call these tulips, but they could be a couple of different kinds of flowers. I just made them off the top of my head, sort of abstract, just playing with color. So I'm titling them tulips, even if they don't look exactly like tulips. And I am leaving the original conversation because that's where all the instruction is. But you're going to notice I'm talking back and forth to people that you can't see the chat. You don't know who they are per se. That's just the kind of thing that happens. You know, there's lots of conversation and back and forth when I do live streams. So just kind of go with it and soak up the knowledge, at least for how to paint these quick little flower pages. And other than that, you sit back, enjoy, and I hope you get inspired to paint some abstract flowers, maybe some tulips, maybe with watercolor. You could do this with any supply, I think, but watercolor happens to be my favorite thing. So, all right, I think that's enough. There's not much more to say. You're going to hear quite a bit as the video goes on as far as instructions. So I'll just let you get to it. One quick thing, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video if you liked it, and hit the little bell icon thing because YouTube needs you to do that twice. Thanks so much. I'll see you around the internets. I think it'll be easier. So that's what we're working on. Super easy. Now, I will admit, so you can hold it up close so you can see it. You see how there's a lot of white around them, and it's consistently around all of them, the larger ones? That's because I actually painted the flowers first, and then I painted the rest of it. So start with that, and we'll use my new color mixes because why not? Let me get a binder clip here. Where's my... Okay, so everything is better with my quill brush. Only because it's my latest brush. That's just the way it is, right? So to do the flowers, honestly, the very beginning, let me start with just like the bright new gamboge first. So the very beginning, all I did, I kept thinking in my head something similar to like a tulip. That was kind of what I had in mind when I first started doing them. So the first instant, like, you know, immediate layer was just like that, very almost kind of boring, I guess you would say. I'm gonna do a layout choice like so. I forget the name of it. I think it's cantilevered. Anyway, where there's a lot of something over here and just a little something over here. This is a Robert Burridge lesson. No. So we'll do 4 big ones, or bigger ones anyway. And then before it had a chance, any of it really has a chance to dry, I come in with the, in this case I'll use this new mix, so a darker yellow. I think on that other one I used like a green for the beginning, and I just come in and just pop it into the bottom. It works best if it's still wet, so you do have to kind of work quickly. Problem is, this journal is I'm at the back of it, so the pages are rolling a little bit, if that makes sense. Let's see if I can squeeze that binder clip. There we go. Okay, so I have 4 big ones. Now the problem is it does take a while in between for these to dry. The next color that I used in that one, I don't have the exact same colors here, but the next color that I used in that one was a purple, so I'll use the magenta mix that I made. And while it's still wet, I'm going to come in and drop in some of this magenta. I'll put in the background colors. Now I can't remember, obviously I can't flip back now, so I'm going to do like a really dark blue to start with, and then I'm going to add some green. Make that green pop a little bit, so I'm going to add some of this yellow to it. Not too much, but just a little. And it's all nice and wet, so it will kind of still sort of blend around and mix together. I'm going to soften the edges along the top of it, so I'm just going to wipe it off on my paper towel. And then anywhere where the edge is kind of hard, I'll just soften it. It is going to introduce water back into it, but that's fine. If it causes some blooms, it'll look just fine. Now I'm going to go to just a lighter blue, so I'm going to actually try to kind of avoid that mix. Just put some soft, and this is where I was telling you that it has white around it, because I just kind of went around as much as possible with, you know, trying not to really touch into it too much. I'm going to leave the binder clips on, so that's going to, you know, that's going to show. But if I take them off right now, it's all just going to run to the other side. It's all kind of doing that anyway, though. And then I want to kind of soften or add more yellow, I guess you would say, to 2 of them. So I'm going to go back to that New Gamboge. I can see right here where it's a little too many lines, basically too many points. So I'm just going to like fill 2 of them in, and then here it feels like the center of it is kind of cut out, so I'm just going to like add some more. This one I kind of like the way it looks though, so I'm going to leave it. And then for the stems, I actually just took a liner brush, if I can find one. Again, I thought I had one out here already. Can't find it, so I'll get another one out. So a liner brush is just a script brush. It's just a long brush. So I'm just going to take it. I'm going to go into the green. Make sure I have a lot. Oh, you can't see that. Sorry. Hang on. Here we go. I'm going to, oops, I almost dropped that on my painting. Make sure I have a lot of liquid, right? So the bristles are really full. And then if it's still wet, if there are pools, then it'll drag some of that yellow down. It will also add some of that green into it. Here it's pretty dry because this side is lifted up a lot further. If any of it bleeds out like it did here and you don't like it, just come in with a wet brush, but not soaking wet, wipe it off, soften it, and it becomes more kind of a part of the background. Same thing right here. This little jot down is kind of weird. That one I'm going to leave. And then let's see. Let's add a little blue and the pink together. Let's do this blue and pink though, because this pink is brighter, so I'll probably get a better purple, I think. We'll mix up a little purple here. Yeah, nice, pretty purple, nice violet. I'm going to pop just a little bit of purple into it. It's all still pretty wet as far as inside the flowers. And then I'm going to go back to putting in the blue. When it dries, you can add more, you know, like darker blue. And don't feel like, if you're not comfortable with painting wet into wet like this, it's totally works to let it stuff, you know, to let the background and the flowers dry before you try to put the blue in. You just need to be conscious of the fact that you don't want to create a hard line down here, so you just want to soften that when you're done. So I'll show you here in a second, which you already know. You guys have seen enough, you know. I don't mean to. I don't want to talk to anyone like they don't. You know, like you don't already know, but yet someone who is in here maybe hasn't seen that and doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like I just have to like kind of go with an even. Works for advanced, works for intermediate, works for beginners. So I kind of have a hard line right there. I'll just soften it. Now if you go back into somewhat dry, you can cause blooming. This is all pretty wet still, so there won't be too much of that. If there is, I don't care. This is, you know, almost like a kind of abstract feel to it. And then I just use a wet brush to try to clean up some of that white. But when I was creating that first one, the one we'll call the inspiration for this, when I was creating it, I kind of made that decision when I was, you know, as I was actively working on it, that I kind of liked the brightness that the halo of white added to it. So I consciously chose to leave some of it, you know, on purpose. And then I kind of want to give a little bit of a feeling of other stuff growing here in the background without actually painting other stuff. I will add a couple of background flowers in a second, but while it's still kind of damp, I'm just going to take a light green and that way I can just kind of, you know, build some other imaginary things that are maybe, you know, happening in the background. And then to build out or create the ones that are sort of in the distance, I'll take a more muted yellow instead of the really bright yellow. And because this is damp, it's unlike how this was, it's gonna blend. Plus it's going over top of the color that's already there, so it's going to mute it even further. And I'll just do, because I have 4, 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I love odd numbers, so I'm going to do a tiny one here, and then 6, 7. We'll do that one a little bit bigger. And then I'll do a few that are just spatters. That's kind of what I did with the last one. So I just make some spatters, and then I just kind of pick a couple of them and make them a little more prominent. These are that one right there is nice and prominent, so I'll just add a little color to it, and this one here too. So then I just, that helps me to make just like some faint ones. We'll add a teeny tiny bit of the pinkish burgundy sort of color, but really watered down this time. To some of them. And then a little bit of that purple. I didn't even rinse actually. I just went straight into the purple from the pink. So we just want to get a hint of that rusty color. Oh, too much water. All right, we'll leave it at that. You're welcome, Terry. Absolutely. I paint on request. No. Like I said, when I figured out which one you wanted, I was like, oh yeah, that one was like super. It was just a really quick piece, I guess you would say, that I did. And I remember how simple it was, so. So I'm just adding the little stems to these. And the stems can kind of disappear. They don't have to carry all the way down in the event that drawing a straight line or, a line that feels good to you, you don't have to get it, you can just, like this one, kind of like ended like right here. It didn't even go all the way down. So you don't have to stress about that. And then I'm just going to add little tiny, super teeny tiny leaves to these that are more almost like little spots. It's starting to dry a lot over on the left side. And then I'm going to add a little blue, changing the color just a little bit. I'll do some of the larger ones. This one kind of fades out completely, so I'm just going to let it fade away. That one I'll just put right over top of that little yellow one that's actually kind of fading out as well. Again, some of the times when I'm doing this type of stuff, I actually, will put in, like for instance, the yellow with the orange and the purple, and then walk away. And in fact, I think with this one, I actually did like with the original, I put the yellow in, and then I think I put like I think I put a pink in, or maybe even a blue, and I walked away and let it completely dry, and then I came back in and just re-wet the base bottom of it, and then I dropped in the purple. So you can work on these in a bunch of different ways. I think that's pretty much about everything that I did with the previous one, except obviously you can add a little more spatter in some other colors. And I think with that other one, I felt like the sky needed a little sunshine. So if I remember right, so what I actually did was go back in right into where I already had the blue background, and I picked an area. So like in this case, we'll pick this area right here. I picked an area and I re-wet it, and I used a a facial tissue, and I lifted a lot of that blue. And this is, again, another thing that I just absolutely love about this particular paper is how easy it is to lift. color. And you know, that can be quite important when you're working with watercolor. And this Canson, no, it's not anywhere near as easy to lift color. So I lifted color out, and then I went and got a little bit of the yellow. And I don't really have a super clean place anymore, but I watered it down quite a lot so that it was a nice, soft, pale yellow, because I didn't want it to turn super green. You know, if you put yellow over top of blue, you'll get kind of a green. So I thinned it out really well, added it in, and then just kind of lifted around it anywhere that there was, you know, that it had gotten over a lot of blue, so that it stayed kind of a you know, a light yellow instead. But I did add that after the fact in that other painting, so that's how I did it. And yeah, this is like a super soft, super sweet. This is something I would do if I were going to be creating like, you know, like if someone asked me to make some art for their mother-in-law and I don't really know their mother-in-law that well, this is the kind of thing I might make them. Or something I might do if I wanted to sit down and make a head, like a bunch of greeting cards on watercolor paper. Because this kind of works for everyone, you know what I mean? Like, odds are even a guy isn't going to be overly offended by, you know, a painting like that, because it's not overly girly, not super feminine. And these would work, this would work well, you know, to portray a bunch of different, you know, moments. So, anniversary, wedding, condolences, you know, I think this would work for a bunch of different stuff. So sympathy, sick, happy birthday, I think it would work for all of them. So yeah, Jill, yeah, this is a fast one. Oh, thanks Laura, thanks Terry. Super easy, and you can do it in any color, you know, whatever colors you like. I really like yellow flowers, so but any color combination will do. And it's actually super fun to do these to see what colors you end up with, because, you know, we had a yellow, we put in a very, you know, a purplish kind of pink, and we got like a gorgeous sort of rust color from it. Get up really close to it. Yeah. We ended up with like that really nice rusty color. So it can be really fun to do this type of page, just to get a feel for what type of colors you might be able to create. So like this was originally, what was it, magenta? Yeah, Quin Magenta. So I'll get a little bit of like the base color that doesn't have any of that tiger's eye or hematite or whatever I used for it. So I'll just take a little bit of that pink. These are fun too. The ones that the pinker ones that you saw in this journal flip through, I did a shape like that. I let it fully dry, and then I came back in with a slightly darker version and added another petal, and I did that like 3 or 4 times, darkening the color each time. Let me see if I can dry this and I'll show you. I just need to check my phone. Someone texted me. Okay, no drama. Let me get my heat gun and dry this so I can show you, because this is super fun. And actually, wait, before I get off track, because I'm just going to get completely off track here. Let me do one of the ones I was talking about while that one dries. So this is just like the light magenta. And then just, you know, like for fun, just to see what, you know, what would happen, what would you get. We'll put the, I think this is the lighter of the 2 blue mixes. So this is a very granulating blue. This color is best for like a shadow color. This thing is so warped. Like all the colors running to one side. It's very annoying. Anyway, so we'll just pop this blue in. and see what we get. So then if I go back in with that darker, well, actually I'm going to go with the brighter, super brighter pink, super brighter. Quin red. I'm going to come in with the quin red. So the blue really pushed the pink, the lighter magenta, a lot. The red doesn't push the blue as much. So I'll just add, keep adding more water to get it to push a lot more. And then the pink and the yellow, if we combine those together, and I already knew the yellow would push a bit. That's going to be neat looking when it dries. All right, I'm going to mute and try to dry that first pink flower. Hang on. Too many things at once because I have to hold this, otherwise it's going to... Okay, so it's reasonably dry. It's not 100%, but it's close enough. So then we'll come in with a darker pink or magenta, this much darker magenta color. And then let that dry. Hold on. Muting again. And then I'll get, I'm going to put some of that I think this is the hematite and the blue together. So I'm going to get just kind of like almost like a purple shade, but still, it's still kind of that, it's based with that initial magenta color. Anyway, that's, I just kept building those and building those. That's how I did those red ones or pink ones. I heated that up so much that the paper is still hot, so it's like drying super fast. It's funny. probably paint flowers as much as I like to paint faces. Except I don't care for it as much when my paper is bowing like this. It's annoying. Just running that pink all over the place. I'm just gonna soak it up in a minute because there's just so much of it. When it pulls back up over here, I'm just gonna soak it up. Everyone's so quiet tonight. I'm actually just stealing all that excess liquid and using it to play with since there's so much of it in there. Everybody's practicing. Everybody's painting yellow flowers. Oh, this coffee's ice cold. All right, you guys keep practicing. I'm gonna get more coffee and think if you have any other requests of anything you want to learn. Otherwise, I'll probably just go back to my elf girl if there's no further requests. Although obviously I'm happy to paint requests. Is my favorite thing to do if it's something I can figure out how to do. Anyway, I'll be right back. I don't know. I'm gonna do more on here. I think I want to make a blue one. I like these colors I mixed up. I'm enjoying painting with them. And that doesn't mean anyone has to share. I don't want to start freaking everybody out that I'm going to start asking everybody if they want to share. I'm just going to say blanket if anyone wants to share. I'm not going to put people on the spot. I'm gonna put green in it. Can't believe how fast I used up all these mixes already. I guess that means I'm going to keep them. I'll have to give them names. So like this one is kind of a dark, almost a black sort of. It has a lot of that hematite in it. I think I'll call that one blueberry because it reminds me of the color of a blueberry. I really do detest the way it's so warped. Just adding water because this little area here dried. I don't think I had a lot of water on my brush, so it dried really quickly. So I'm just adding water to try to get these colors to pull over here a little bit. You are a quiet lot tonight. But so am I. This is what happens when you guys have worked all day. Jill, 2.5 karaoke with patients this afternoon. Oh boy. Do you do karaoke or just the patients or a combination? I'm guessing you can sing well. I cannot sing at all. My daughter has a beautiful singing voice. I did not get that. My father has a beautiful singing voice. I did not get that. Me and my mom can't sing at all. But then again, my dad and my daughter and my brother all play multiple musical instruments as well. I can't play any musical instruments either. I just saw someone on YouTube today. It was one of those like the videos that pop up like recommended, and it was someone talking about how to keep basically how to talk to yourself if you're streaming. Hence, like what we're doing here. Different ways to get to keep the conversation going, and one of the recommendations was you could have like a playlist playing in the background, and you could start singing. And I'm like, if I started singing, people would leave my stream as fast as they possibly could. Oh. Oh, what did Jill say? You have to sing to keep them going. Oh, but you can't really sing. That would be like, whew, that would be hard. I guess you get used to it. There was a period of time where I could not stand up in front of a group of people and talk, especially not like a group of my peers. And I had this crazy boss who decided to put all of the managers into a leadership training program, and it was straight up required. We had to do it. We had to participate. And part of it was putting on classes for the rest of the group. And sometimes if your class content was something that turned out, I guess to be like, I guess it had to be good, but it had to be something that was relevant to another area of the company, then they would make you put that presentation on for like other departments in the company. And you didn't, it's not like you knew when you started out, yeah, this presentation that I'm going to do is going to end up being something I have to do in front of the entire company. And that happened to me. It was incredibly hard just to, get up and talk in front of people, period. That was a huge thing to overcome. But then eventually, we had to overcome, inevitably, some of our, the group I was with, some of our presentations got chosen, and I had to learn to, speak in front of large groups of people. It was really, really good for me, really healthy, and I got really comfortable with it. Now I would have a terrible time. Again, it's been so long, I would have a terrible time getting up in front of a group of people and talking. But, yeah, that was really hard. Really, really hard. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah, Laura K. Same with me. Like, my cats. When it's just me by myself, like if I'm cleaning or something, I'll start singing. My cats act like there's something wrong with me. Like they come running up to me like, "Are you okay?" Like they think I'm dying. And I have one cat, Bella. She'll leave the room. She's like, "Oh my gosh." She's singing again. I have to go. And she gives this look to me. Like she turns around before she goes through her kitty door. She turns around and looks at me like, "There's something wrong with you." You know what I mean? Oh, I can't sing. uh, that's a scary looking flower. It really is. It's mm, I don't know about that one. I think I should have quit while I was ahead. I'm gonna try to make it more of this, the base of the flower. I'm probably just making it worse. Blue's not my color. I can't explain why I don't paint as well with blue. Like, does that make any sense? I do love blue, don't get me wrong. I love every color, but I do find I struggle more when I'm trying to paint stuff with blue than I do any other color. The one in the middle, this one here. Yeah, I like that one too. I like this one the best, but I just like that shape the most. But I like the colors in this one, and I like how the really super light pink makes it look like, you can almost, it gives a dimension, like you could almost, see there's a center to it.